The doji, hypocrite.
Why? What's wrong with these fellows?
They're just teasing
Do you
me.
not train your cameramen well before they show up here?
They're not my camera.
No, because you edit the video, that's why we put in
Not
our
interested.
camera.
Please
You
stay away.
understand?
Please
no,
stay
we put
away.
in our camera.
Thank you very
You
much.
were happy when the
Thank
camera
you.
is not
But
there,
if you
but
can
we put
stay
in the
away,
camera.
please.
I'm
We're trying to
not
have an
touching you. I'm
intellectual
not touching you.
conversation.
We
So,
put in our
We're
camera.
trying to have an intellectual conversation.
We put
Trying
our
to
camera
have-
because
we're
you
trying-
edit the video.
Thank you.
Yeah, you
But-
edit the
but
video,
thank you
that's
very
why.
much.
Because
Okay.
we are
So, evidence.
not trustworthy, shameless. That's
you.
why.
Thank you.
That's why we're doing that.
Thank you.
You understand?
So, history.
It's not
What are
Nas,
those books?
Evidence.
Our camera,
Yeah, that's my book.
Oh, okay.
I might have shown this a long time ago.
No.
So, Nas, let me ask you a few questions.
Okay.
Evidence for idolatry in Mecca. Do you know of any evidence at all?
What type of evidence?
Any historical evidence to ascertain
Yes,
there was
sorry, I got a bit of
idolatry?
a cold.
No problem.
So
Idolatry in
from
the
the
middle of 7th century, when Mecca is supposed to have been when Muhammad is supposed to have ministered against idolaters.
So from the traditions, like from Sunni Shia sources.
Traditions, I mean, if you have Sira literature in mind, if you have Hadith literature in mind, they are very late sources. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about qualified historical resources, i.e., contemporary evidence, some sort of contemporary evidence, archaeological, for the existence of idolatry in Mecca in the 7th century.
So when it comes to idolatry in the Quran criticizes them. It's not so much the belief in Allah, but it's more so that they do not worship Allah alone.
But
So they associate partners.
My question isn't whether the Quran claims anything or not. The Quran is under scrutiny already. What is under scrutiny can't be a witness. My point is, do you have any archaeological evidence for idolatry having been in existence in and around in Arabia, Hijazi area, in the 7th century?
Yeah, so the type of worship which is criticized in Islam has to do with like supplication. So with that type of, you wouldn't necessarily expect there to be like archaeological type evidence. So the belief is in one God, but nonetheless they supplicate through either Mary or through saints or angels, and that is what is criticized or condemned in the Quran.
In Mecca, was there in Mecca
does seem
was there no idols?
So it does seem like there were Christians in Mecca and also Jews.
Yeah, apart from them, were there pagan idols at all?
So from the traditional sources, it does mention that the Kaaba was filled with idols.
Yeah.
and the
So in
Quraysh.
other words, we would expect to find archaeological sources for them. Do we have any?
Not necessarily.
What do you mean? If they're filled with idols, if idol worship was rampant across the Arabian Peninsula at that time, we should. Idols are archaeological artifacts.
Yeah.
We should find them. Where are they? Do we know? Do we have? Have we found any?
Yeah, so the archaeological evidence for us today, but in 7th century Arabia, once they embraced Islam, and since Islam is so anti-idol, the idols wouldn't have any use or meaning for them. So they would have been destroyed because they no longer worship the idols. So that would be my understanding in a nutshell.
Okay, all right, okay. So, but do you have any evidence for the pre-7th century existence of Mecca? Any pre-7th century existence of Mecca as a city?
Did Sam mention Ptolemy?
Yeah, he
From
mentions.
the 2nd century or something. He's a historian and he has a map of the Arabian Peninsula, and he mentions Mecca as Makraba.
Yeah, Makraba. Where does he place it?
So it's not like it's basically west coast.
Yeah, so west coast, but where? North or south?
Middle west coast.
So you think Makraba that he refers to is the Mecca of today?
Yes.
So if there is evidence,
Neil Robertson, Neil Robertson from Leeds University, in his book Discovering the Quran, he interprets that to be a reference to Mecca. So I've got a code. So
no problem. So when in terms of
I'm just looking for the map. So.
No, that's fine. That's fine. In terms of the inscriptions that we have, we have very solid evidence today
For monotheism. For monotheism pre-Islam.
We have So you mentioned earlier when I asked about idols, you mentioned idols were destroyed. But remarkably, thousands of inscriptions have been found, rock inscriptions. Thousands have been found, many with references to idolatry. Many. So, in terms of idolatry, given that many have been found, you also find.
This from like 6th century, you mean 6th or 5th century?
Yeah, essentially the first few centuries,
Oh, okay, before Islam.
5-6 centuries pre-Islam, we have rock inscriptions, pre-Arabic, Nabatean script,
What does it
Proto-Arabic,
say?
Proto-Arabic, Nabatean inscriptions, and what we
What do
find
the
is,
inscriptions say? Well,
what we find is for a couple of centuries before Islam is supposed to have arrived on the scene, there was no idolatry. We have evidence for that.
okay. So idolatry in Islam is not necessarily worshipping a statue. Can also be in
No, but you agreed earlier, in Mecca,
Yeah.
there was idolatry. And that
According
idolatry
to-
is classical idolatry with physical idols. So idolatry existed. So please don't talk about, essentially there was clear classical idolatry. But in the rock inscriptions, we find evidence to the contrary.
Yes, so according to the traditional sources from like Sunni Shia sources, they make mention of the Kaaba being filled with statues.
But they are late
So
sources.
those
Late sources, very late sources. Which sources do you have in mind?
So you can say Ibn Ishaq, but
Very late source.
But Ibn Ishaq is not necessarily the first or earliest biography of the Prophet. There were other biographies as well, and Ibn Ishaq incorporates like pre-existing sources
What is the earliest evidence for Ibn Ishaq?
in manuscript form. I don't know from the top of my
Ibn
head.
Ishaq, we don't know. Ibn Ishaq is by no means is an available artifact today. Ibn Ishaq isn't even available. So please, I want early sources. I
What
don't
do you
want
mean
late.
Ibn Hisham's not available?
Well, in terms of manuscriptal evidence for what we're talking about, we don't have these things. So what I'm asking is very simply, please use
But if we're going to
early
be
evidence.
consistent, I don't have a
Nas,
problem with the
early
being.
evidence.
I accept late sources that are based upon pre-existing material. So I accept
use late source.
the Old Testament,
Use
for
late
example.
source. What's that?
So like the Old Testament, like the book of Genesis, I accept Genesis, even though the manuscripts are like more than 1300 years after Moses.
No,
So do you mean like the Dead Sea Scrolls?
if you want to have a debate on this as to why the Old Testament is credible, I can get into this.
No, I'm not debating the authenticity of the Bible. I'm just saying
because you're making
we have to have same
No,
standards.
no. You're making a
So
false
Ibn
equivalence.
Ishaq is a couple of hundred
You're
years.
talking about a false equivalence.
But Genesis
here.
is like more than 1,000 years.
Israel as a nation was a nation which experienced signs and wonders over a prolonged period of time. In Islam, you don't have it.
How
so
do you make sense of Genesis?
You can't compare them both.
Which is Genesis is authored by Moses, but the earliest manuscripts for Genesis, I believe, is from the Dead Sea Scrolls.
But are you listening to what I'm saying? You're not listening to what I'm saying.
You're
If you
speaking
want
about the Old Testament as a whole rather than Genesis specifically.
what I am saying is the biblical narrative, the biblical case, the way in which we approach the biblical case is very different, because in the case of the biblical community, they were a people group who saw signs and wonders
Okay.
over a prolonged period of time, including even in the time of Jesus Christ. Signs and wonders. You don't have this with Islam. When you don't have this with Islam, you can't just make things up as you go
So,
along.
what are the documentary evidence for the signs and wonders that the Israelites witnessed?
Okay, let's start here. For the Bible, let's start with Jesus Christ. Do you agree Jesus performed signs and wonders?
From the Quran, yeah.
But do
My
you
belief in the Quran, yeah.
the Quran is under scrutiny. You haven't provided any evidence for the Quran yet.
So is the Bible under scrutiny as well?
Absolutely. The
But
Bible
we can still accept.
the
We can
Bible.
still use the Bible.
No,
so we
not,
can
not,
still
not,
use the Quran
not,
as well.
not while its veracity hasn't been established. While it is treated as a as a doubtful literature,
Who doubts
you
the
can't
Quran
use it.
who doubts the Quran as a contemporary text from the time of the Prophet?
So, who doubts the Quran? What?
Yeah, as a contemporary literature from the time of the Prophet or from the 7th century.
We have all sorts of problems with the Quranic history. Also, do we have
According to
any manuscripts for? Do we have any of the Uthmanic manuscripts available today?
According to Sidki, we may have either 99% or 100% manuscripts from the 7th century or from the first
Let me
100
ask you this
years.
question again because you're not addressing my question. Do we have any of the Uthmanic mushafs today?
So the Birmingham manuscript, for example, is identified with either coming from Usman's time or predating Usman.
But do we have any of the Uthmanic manuscripts today?
So I mentioned the Birmingham manuscript,
So you claim
and also
Birmingham.
possibly the Sana as well.
So you claim Birmingham manuscript is Uthmanic manuscript?
It's from his time.
I'm not asking that. This is why you are evading my question. My question in specific is Uthmanic manuscripts, the standardized manuscripts that Uthman produced, Uthman ordered to be produced, which were produced according to Islamic tradition. Do we have any evidence for them today?
So I'm not the best person to ask.
But you are reasonable. I mean, if you can't answer this question, no one can. No Muslim can.
Well,
Do we
that's
have any
Mansoor.
Uthmanic?
You can ask
In your
Mansoor.
knowledge,
He does.
is there any Uthmanic
I believe
mushaf
there
today?
is.
Which one?
If you go to the Islamic Awareness website.
But which one is
the
Uthmanic
document.
mushaf today?
Yes, if you go to the Islamic-Awareness,
I've gone through. I don't think they talk
they
about
have a list of
Uthmanic
Quranic manuscripts.
No. I've gone through the entire list.
I mean,
They
we
don't
can-
talk about.
we can
they
maybe
don't-
look at it.
Please, find out, please, and tell me which one is the Uthmanic. Which ones are Uthmanic manuscripts?
So they've identified, for example, from Top Copy Istanbul
Top copy is Uthmanic manuscript.
or from Samarkand.
Top copy and Samarkand are Uthmanic mushafs is what they are claiming. Where are they claiming that? Where are they claiming
They
that?
also have the Istanbul again.
Where are they claiming that? I don't see the claim. Where are they claiming that?
Yes, I beg your pardon. I made a mistake.
Yeah.
They say. Sorry, I had it here. Sorry, I had it before. But yeah, basically they're not making the claim.
No one is. I went through the
For this
entire thing.
specific Istanbul.
No one is making this claim. This idea of Uthmanic mushafs.
But there are manuscripts that are identified from the time of Usman, or if not even earlier than
What is the
Usman.
No, this is not true. Nas, you're making things up as you go along.
Like the Birmingham manuscripts.
No. Please, you're making things up as you go along. Please don't do that. No manuscript today is credibly identified as Uthmanic
So
mushaf.
how many manuscripts do we have from the time of the disciples of Jesus?
Let's go to that later. I'm
Gospel
talking
of
about the Quran.
Matthew.
I'm talking about the Quran right now.
Yeah, but we have to be fair, isn't it?
No,
we can't.
I'll come to the Bible in a little bit.
So do we have any first century manuscripts of Matthew or John's Gospel?
You understand, Nas, you should very well understand the context we are talking about. You're comparing apples with oranges. You would understand this.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, Islamic
Hence why
land.
you don't want to discuss
Islamic
the Bible.
Hijazi land, Nas, Hijazi land, Mecca and so on, Hijazi land hasn't been, Nas, Hijazi land hasn't been taken over continually from the time of Muhammad. Hasn't
Is
been
that the
taken
excuse that you don't have
No,
manuscripts
it's not.
from the time of Matthew?
over. We are talking about the Quran right now. Uthmanic Musaf don't exist. Do we agree on this?
I disagree. I just need to do
So-
more. I need to read more of Islamic
Okay,
awareness.
that's fine. You please do more.
But
while
even then,
you
I
do-
don't have a problem because we have first
But
century
while you do
manuscripts
more,
of Quran.
while you do more, don't disagree already. Don't do. Because when you have to do research, don't make the claim already. So Uthmanic Musafs don't exist. Number one. Number two. Let me come to this, please. Do we have any of the early manuscripts complete? Quranic manuscripts complete. When is the earliest complete Quranic manuscript?
I don't know from the top of my hand, but we have first century manuscripts which are either 99% or 100%.
Which one is that?
So like the Birmingham manuscript is from the first century.
Birmingham manuscript is 99%.
No, I said the manuscripts altogether from the first century
I'm talking
make
about-
up the Quran.
Is there a single manuscript which is an entire copy, which is an entire Quran?
Okay, let's just
When is
agree
the
to
earliest?
disagree. We've
When
had
is
the discussion.
When is the earliest?
I'm gonna run away,
When is
so,
the
okay.
earliest?
Islam.
When is the earliest complete?
Thanks. I was waiting for someone to call me. So,
Is that yours?
nice.
What happened?
It's time we ended there. I didn't want to talk to him anyway. I was trying to avoid him, but he keeps following me around.
Why do you do it to yourself?
I didn't want to talk to him, but he just keeps following me around. and he sets the questions up. He wants you to answer it the way he wants you to. And he doesn't want you to trust the Bible. So.
No. They're not interested in that, right? Yeah. Gosh, I don't come here so often. How you doing? You
I
alright?
got caught, but yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, just be honestly, just walk away. I've got no respect. Just walk away. I've seen Paul. He was here. No, he's here. I think he seemed to have vanished.
Last time I saw him, he was talking to brother Dustin.
I have no idea that is. I think he may have left. I think he may have left. I can't see.
I mean, today's pretty empty.
I'm able to get home in time.
ان شاء الله انت تكلمني انا معك عندي رقم التواصل
You're not going to break it?
Huh? No, I'm already in the doghouse for even coming up. Yeah, so I need to make sure I'm there. If I'm not there, gosh.
When is Zakir's book coming out? When is Zakir's book coming out?
You know, they're still editing. I said to bro, people are asking, and he said, look, it's still being done. But I think what's happened? Don't tell me. You can't give a date. You can't because only now things have calmed down. He's getting things. He's going to start going back into writing and whatever. But at the moment, he said it's book for about a year and a half. He dropped the book. That's why. On the points he did well. On the points he did well. On the debate, right? Michael Brown won. Not the points. Remember, you were there. Not the points. The points. What's the name? So in the future, when they're reading it, they'll see that on the points that Zakir won. But the debate, the rhetoric, and whatever.
I disagree. I still think Zakir will.
No. No. I'm saying the rhetoric, right? On rhetoric, Brown.
I mean, he's a professional.
You know, he seems like I've got no look. When it's rhetoric, when it's balada, right? That's not Brown. He used so many different rhetorical devices and deflections. There was questions that Zakir put to him. He didn't even answer. And Zaka didn't come back and then push him on those things. So in terms of the debates, the rest of it, right? Zaka on the substance, Zaka to me what is wrong with it? Yeah, true. Yeah.
That kind of added
No. I'm not judging it because I didn't watch any of that, right? I'm just there for the debate, and I said, like, from a debating style, whatever, he did better. He lied. I caught him out in about 5 or 6 lies. But that's the point. I'm saying on the debate, he won his debate, connivingness, his deception. He won, right? Zakian went there, right, and he wasn't as prepared as he should have been. 1 and 2, he was just being honest and just looking at the point. So when I said, when you in the future, transcribe, you read the debate, you will see that Zakian what the fraud. Yeah. You watch it, it may look. You understand? You may. If you're not sure what you're looking at, right, you may, I agree. Yeah? Anyway, I think you said in that conversation now, it may look like now that you're under pressure, right? But I said, when people go back and look at the video dispassionately and then analyse it, see that there's lies he told, but even when you look at the Q&A session, I asked him Michael Brown one question, he just didn't answer. I was like, wow. That shows what he was doing. As soon as he was jammed up, he just didn't answer the question. Or he just outright lied. I don't see it.
I like answers.
And the Muslim copy lies from Torah and Bible.